All right, our weather's simple, and I'll get to our 7-day, but I find this interesting. You know, El Nino, the big talker for this upcoming winter season. So kind of to refresh your memory, you know, El Nino, La Nina, neutral, they all have their kind of typical stereotype flow patterns, right? El Nino, the typical stereotype flow pattern, has an active subtropical jet stream that brings rains into California and the southern tier of the United States, including the Gulf Coast states into Florida. And then in the meantime, up over the Pacific Northwest and around the Gulf of Alaska, you can get ridging, and it can be not only surprisingly dry, but surprisingly mild. Now, you think about that, dry plus mild, winter. Boy, that can mean a rotten low snowpack up in the Cascades. That is a concern when we get into some of these El Nino seasons, and it will be this time around. So this is what a couple of the models, or different ones, are showing for the flow patterns over the upcoming months. September, I really think we could get some more rain this month, but odds are good that we're going to be below normal. You try to get about 1.5 inches of rain in September. I'll be surprised if we do that. There are hopes that October could be decent. October, if you can get 2.5 inches of rain, that would be spectacular. But look what happens in November. Here's that ridging setting up in the upper flow pattern where you see the red color and the contour is ridging. Look what happens in December. The ridging is still there, maybe not quite as defined, but look what happens in January. Boy, there it is. Meanwhile, flow patterns look like they could be bringing in some moisture across Southern California and Texas and Florida. So this is setting up an early look at what the models are showing to be, quite frankly, our worst nightmare in terms of having a low snowpack and not getting some beneficial rains. We were really fortunate overall, as you recall, last season into the spring months as well. But this could be setting up to be not a lot of snow up into the Cascades. Obviously, things could be changing, and we'll keep following it. It's really going to determine or depend on how strong this El Nino ends up being or not. But my best guess at this point is we're going to need to get some moisture at times into the first part of November. And certainly by the time we get into the back half of December, January, February, we could be alarmingly dry, potentially. All right, what's going on out there right now? The answer is not much of anything. There's a disturbance spinning offshore. It's hanging out a little bit longer than I thought it would, and it's one reason why we had a pretty good batch of clouds with us during the morning hours. Now, Futurecast does show this afternoon those clouds breaking up. It continues to show a shower chance north of our region up into Washington. Here's the east side. This is Gresham out off of Powell. So if you live out east, Gresham, and then banking up into Troutdale and the Cascades, could be a while before you get the sun coming yet. Again, that's a camera out in Gresham showing the overcast still there. But you get over to Yamhill County, there's the breakage of the clouds and the sun developing in the wine country from our Stoller Family Vineyards estate cam. Portland's at 65 degrees, Scappoose 72. Again, warmer on the west side because the sun is shining. The sun will eventually make it across the area. 76 today, 81 tomorrow, 87 Saturday. That's that warming weekend Brenda talked about, all dry into Wednesday, and that is your forecast.